Hello and welcome everyone. I hope you're doing great. This is River Lee of the Savvy Groomer, and thank you guys so much for being here. I'm sorry that a little bit earlier we had a little hiccup working with our new system, and I'm so glad to have everybody here. So if you want to just give me 1 second, I'm going to go ahead and pick everything up. I am enjoying this new technology, but it is a little bit frustrating because everything that you want to work just does not seem to happen, does it? I mean, that is the truth. Whenever you're starting new technology in your salon, I'm sure you guys are having a little bit of hiccups as well. So let me go ahead and open everything up I need to. La 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 la. And if I had been a good girl, I would have had all of this open beforehand, but I was a little bit nervous it was not going to open. I'm not even going to lie. Earlier today, it was just being a little funky. So I'm very grateful that it decided to behave itself. Okay. Jared is saying technology can be a pain at times, but the intro looks great. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Wonderful. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this week's topic, which is whether to, in your grooming business, be a sole proprietor or be an LLC. So, all right. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so when you're evaluating your business structures, things you have to think about. This doesn't mean evaluating the way that you would want to set up your business plan. So don't worry about your business plan. It's more about looking at the nitty-gritties between an LLC and a sole proprietorship. And I'm going to really condense this down to a very easy way of looking at it. So I want you guys to evaluate your business to look at your current status, which I'm assuming is a sole proprietorship. We're not going to be talking about S corps or corporations because for the most part, unless that you are owning multiple salons or many vans, that really doesn't offer you enough of a tax incentive to go ahead and do all of those things. So I honestly personally believe that sole proprietorship for the most part is the best structure. But I'm going to explain what is a good idea, why you may want to do so. But let's start by talking about, like I said, sole proprietorship is generally the best structure. And it's all about how close to making the switch from LLC or maybe even a corporation down the line. And sometimes it's going to be a little bit mandatory to do so because of what's going on in your business. So I will always say your best bet is always to talk to an accountant or a lawyer. They can determine if it's right or wrong, but let's just talk about the two definitions between the different structures. So sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship basically means both you and the business are one entity. So you are going to be doing business as, so I am River Lee doing business as Rhode Island Cat Grooming, as well as River Lee doing business as the Savvy Groomer. Now, the advantages of this is very low startup costs and minimal, if any, fees to pay any local authorities or governments. I personally, when I had my grooming salon as a DBA, only had to get what's called a trade name, and I didn't have to get really anything else to start up my business. You can get away without consulting a business lawyer, though if you can afford it, I would really have ideally a business lawyer run through your business plan. That way you make sure that everything is good on that end. It's always a good investment to have someone who's a professional look through your things. You can operate under your own name or your trade name. And again, your trade name is your business name. So again, my trade name would be Rhode Island Cat Grooming. My trade name would be the Savvy Groomer. And what's really nice about this is that if you get a check written to you personally or to the business, you don't have to worry about that. And taxes are significantly simpler than other structures. You may even feel confident enough to do them on your own bookkeeping, your own taxes, and your own filings. I personally don't do that. I think that paying a basic accountant or an EA is a great investment. I think paying a bookkeeper is a great investment. But it's all about what you want to do personally. Now let's begin talking about some disadvantages. Some obvious disadvantages is if you don't pay your business bills or you or your employee accidentally injure a pet, the owner slips and falls in your business, you can be personally sued, and your assets such as your house, your car, your equipment, your business investments can all be seized because you are your business. If something goes wrong, you are legally liable. You can operate under a trade name, but most banks, depending upon what state you live in, will not let you open a bank account in that name or sign a check to that name. Now, where I am, I had to get a trade name certificate, and this allowed me to open up a bank account under my business's name. Some places don't offer this. I know I had a big problem where I couldn't open the business account in the business name without getting the trade name, but it was kind of annoying because I wanted all my accounting done in that bank account, but I couldn't open the bank account without the trade name. It wasn't that much money. I think it was $30 for the year. And so it was really easy to just go pay the $30, get the trade name, bring the trade name into the bank, and then open up a business account. So I could do mine in my state as a DBA, but there's a lot of places that I cannot do that. And so that's something to really think about, because that would mean that you would have to have checks written directly to you and not necessarily to the bank. Peter says, just made it. Hi, Peter. Nice to see you guys. So that's a positive or a negative. So I know with my business, which I had the Green Paw Spa, it got a little complicated because people would write the checks a little bit off. They might write to Green Paws or Green Spa. Like, they kept doing whatever they wanted. So thankfully we switched eventually to stop doing checks in that business and just went to Square. For Savvy Groomer, I don't take checks. However, for Rhode Island Cat Grooming, I do take checks. However, those checks, I have them write to me directly. And that's mainly because I was really surprised how many people couldn't spell grooming correctly, or be RI, or spelt out Rhode Island, or they'd run out of room, and then they'd be scratching things. And I was like, nope, it's just a lot easier to write to River Lee, if they really wanted to write a check. And most of those are regular clients that will leave checks for me, or they leave checks with family members. So that's something you really want to consider. Another disadvantage may be that it'll limit your ability to transfer ownership or get a business loan. Again, because you are your business, it makes things appear a little bit more complicated on the back end. For instance, if I want to get a business loan for Rhode Island Cat Grooming, like when I bought my van, I had to personally get a van loan for the business. I could not take, because the grooming salon I had run, which was the Green Paw, I had that business. However, it was a DBA. So even I sold that, I took that money. They weren't going to take that as, let's say, a past job. They're going to take my personal credit when I open the van up to buy my grooming van. So it was a personal loan. It's not technically a business loan. However, because I am the business, they work through them that way. So if I wanted to sell my van, it's a little bit more complicated, because if I wanted to sell the business or the van, because I am my business, I would either have to make it into an LLC to sell it a little bit differently, which I really can't do because I still have a loan on the van. Hi, Turquoise Laura. Because I have that loan in the van, it makes it more complicated if I wanted to sell it. If I wanted to sell it and transfer the title, now remember the title is in my personal name, it would be more difficult to sell it. However, if I was selling Rhode Island Cat Grooming and it was his own entity, I could sell Rhode Island Cat Grooming to someone, including all of the assets of the business, which would be the van. And there are always lawyers and there are always accountants who can work their magic and make this a little bit easier and make it more clear-cut. But 9 times out of 10, it just makes life really complicated when you're trying to sell things, versus it's a lot easier for River Lee to sell my grooming van, let's say, to whoever is going to buy it personally, or if they get a business loan and I'm going to sell it to that business, versus trying to piecemeal everything together. Rhode Island Cat Grooming couldn't go to the bank and try to get a loan. River Lee would have to go to the bank to get a loan. All right, so let's talk about LLCs, which is a limited liability corporation. And I know we're talking about corporations technically, but we're not going to be talking about S-Corps, and we're not going to be talking about Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. I've been sick a little bit. Whew, don't mind me. I'm not going to be talking about the other ways that you guys can go. These are, not C Corps, not S Corps. And those, it's a little bit different. These are more straightforward. These are actually more comparable than the other business options you can have. But anyway, so LLC, again, it's a limited liability corporation. So basically your business entity becomes its own business entity. So your business and you are now separate. Does that make sense? So legally, my business and, myself would be separate versus the DBA, you're basically one entity. Here are the advantages. God forbid your business goes belly up. Only your business assets can be seized, not your house, your car, your other personal assets. If you get sued, if your employee is driving a van and runs somebody over, the business is going to be taken, but they're not going to be able to go after your house, if that makes sense. Depending on what state you live in and how everything is done tax-wise, you can often get bigger tax breaks, but this is not always clear cut. You really want to have your accountant, your EA, or your CPA double check this, because I know personally in Rhode Island, I have bigger tax breaks as a DBA, but that's because I could write off the losses against when I was married with my spouse. So we were able to take the loss and actually get more taxes back from him because I was the business. However, as a single person, yes, I would get bigger tax breaks as an LLC. And this is, again, why it's so important to find out your personal state and find out what is going on in each state. And, a lot of times your EA or your CPA, you're going to earn back more money per year having them do the taxes than you personally doing the taxes. Plus, it's a big headache. I also find with my business clients that have LLCs versus DBAs or sole proprietorships, that because it's its own entity, because it's its own thing, it's easier for them to separate what is the business and then what is personal. A lot of people, because they have DBA, which is sole proprietorship businesses, they tend to lump all their money in one account. They can do that because the checks have to be written out to them directly, because they'll purchase things out of that for the business, out of their personal, or they'll have an account that they will pay personal bills with their business account, and it gets everything really messy. So if you are the kind of person that is really bad at, putting your hand in the cookie jar, using your business as your personal piggy bank, an LLC might help because everything will need to be done in the business's name. And for some people, it's just enough that you can mentally tell yourself, okay, I'm managing this business, versus if some people for whatever reason just cannot mentally get over having the other side of the business. Like, because I am my business, that's why. And I'm laughing because I totally had no idea you guys could not see me. Sorry. I've been talking and looking at myself, but I guess you guys had not been able to see me. Now you get to see my shining face. Hi. See, technology. We'll get over this soon. So anyway, guys, sorry about that. Now, here are some disadvantages of your LLC. And I'm hoping you guys can all hear me. If you guys can hear me, can you guys just put in the comments section? That'd be really helpful. I just want to make sure that I'm doing this right. And I have this great new technology, but it's a little bit tough. I won't even lie. All right, so if you guys can hear me, go ahead and put into the chat box so you guys can hear me. That would be very helpful. Thank you. All right, so what are some disadvantages of an LLC? You're legally obligated to file annual reports with the state. You should always be filing taxes anyway. I mean, that's kind of a given, isn't it? You should have to file your taxes every year. The difference really becomes, depending upon how much money you earn, you may have to do yours quarterly. I know even with my DBA at this point, I need to file quarterly. And when I say DBA, guys, I want you to know that's doing business app. That is a sole proprietorship. So I do mine quarterly anyway, just because of how much I earn. But it's really important with an LLC, you do not forget this. There are so many more penalties for LLCs if you screw up, if you don't do it, if you have it sit on the back burner. You're pretty much telling the state, I'm a more legitimate business, and therefore they take you more legitimately, which means that, they're going to be more likely to fine you or make your life a living hell should you not file. You also have to pay annual fees to keep your LLC in legal operation. I'm not sure about your state. In my state, it was several $100s a year when I had that. When my grooming salon grew to a certain size, I ended up making from my DBA to an LLC the last couple years. And it was several $100s. I want to say it was $400 or $500 a year to be a legal LLC. And there were definitely positives of it. And I did make more money, and I had so many employees and I had bought a house, so I wanted to protect everything. But I did notice that those extra filing fees honestly kind of hurt a little bit. There are also more mandatory fees and higher fees than sole proprietorship. There's just a lot of things that we don't think about. And again, like I said, for me, I had to get, I actually used mine through LegalZoom.com. I got my LLC through them, and that was a couple $100s to set up. And then it was a couple $100s a year to renew. Through the state, there were more fees. I think, like I said, I think it was like $30 to get my trade name as a sole proprietorship in Rhode Island. And I'm pretty sure it was a couple $100s to have an LLC. And so I want to say the simplified version is, if you're seriously considering changing your business status, do a consultant with a small business lawyer, your CPA, or a really good enrolled agent. It really boils down to this. If you're making a modest income, and by modest, I mean under $100,000 a year, then you're not ready to have your business expand, then you can keep yourself as a DBA or sole proprietorship. If your business includes getting business loans, and by business loans, I don't necessarily mean a van loan. I don't mean a small startup loan. If you are going to take a loan of over $50,000, and again, my grooming van was over $50,000. However, that debt was secured debt. And for those of you guys that have never heard that, secured debt basically means if you screw up the loan, they come and they take that asset. So a car is considered a secured debt. A house is a secured debt, because if I default on it, they're going to come and take the car. They're going to come and take the house. Unsecured debt are things like credit cards and personal loans. So if you're going to be getting unsecured business debt, then having an LLC makes a lot more sense. Also, if you're going to be getting a partnership, I'm not a big fan of partnerships, but obviously a partnership, you need at least an LLC, because if you're doing business as, you really don't want to have River Lee and Susie Q doing business as Rhode Island Cat Grooming, because now, it creates a lot more stickiness in that versus an LLC. Now there's the business entity, and then you are both owners of that business entity. It makes things a little bit simpler. Also, depending upon how you're doing your taxes, my business is under my Social Security number, again, because I am doing the business as. So if you have two people, you have two Social Security numbers, you don't want to get stuck paying your partner's taxes. And, we hope that partners do well and everything's good, but we can't promise anything, because that's real life. You never know what's going to happen there. So, and the other thing I want to point out too is if you know you're in a place of growth and you're going to expand exponentially, let's say you're opening up your second salon, or you have always been just a small groomer operator, or, groomer, and then maybe a couple of employees and a little bit of retail. And now you're going to be adding on doggy daycare. You're going to be adding significant boarding. You're going to be adding all these other things. That's when becoming an LLC makes a lot of sense, because again, as you grow, you're going to increase your liability, and you're going to have more chances of being sued. And we live in a very litigious society. People sue for anything. We hope we have the right insurance. And I'm sure many of you ladies and gentlemen know this, but pets depreciate like cars. Most of the time, your insurance company will say they will pay for something, but that's not always true. Often what happens in our industry is that pets depreciate like cars. So let's say you buy a puppy for $500. Now you spay or neuter that dog. That dog is not worth as much because it cannot produce puppies. It cannot produce income. So let's say now it's worth $250. So then what happens is, that dog is getting older. That dog is now worth less. And so let's say that dog is now worth $200 or $150. If that groomer breaks that dog's leg and that owner wants you to pay $5,000 plus, PT, and they want to get the dog a second surgery because the first time the pins didn't take care of it, your insurance may or may not pay for that. And it's very tough. And some insurances have increased their limits and what they call have a heart clauses, or basically they're more willing to pay for things because they see them as a sentient being versus just a depreciating asset, which is incredibly cold. But you don't want to be stuck personally with a $10,000 or $20,000 bill because your groomer broke a dog's leg and the insurance company decided that 9-year-old black lab mix was only worth $200. So again, that's where if you're expanding your business, if you're going to be having a lot of employees, having an LLC may really come in handy. And again, like I said before, with business partnership, I don't generally suggest it, but if you're going to have a business partner, make sure you have an LLC. If you're thinking you're going to want to transfer ownership, for instance, if you know you're going to sell the business to one of your employees in the near future, let's say this year, you're going to be training this employee and next year they're going to be buying the business. It may be worth it to switch everything to an LLC. That way, when you transfer everything, it's in one neat little package. We spent some time on the issue of your business structure because most of the people, it ends up being a little bit hazy and we never really end up tackling this thing. We really don't tackle why someone should be an LLC and why someone should be a sole proprietor. I want to leave it up to you guys. If you want to talk a little bit more about this, I feel like this is a really thorough overview of this and why or why not it makes sense for you. Like I said before, I'm personally going to say as a DBA sole proprietorship, in my business, I could see in the future, eventually maybe if I added a van or two, where I might turn into an LLC, but where I am now in my business, I'm really happy. And with Savvy Groomer, I have good insurance. I have $1 million umbrella policy. I don't really see why somebody would ever need to sue me over business coaching or an online course, but who knows, right? Everybody's crazy. Don't mind me, I'm going to take a drink. So if you guys really enjoyed this, I really want to encourage you guys to consider joining my membership. We have the Savvy Groomer Grow Wealthy Grooming membership where we go over each month. We're going to go over one topic. I'm going to go through that really clearly. What's nice about that is it's going to be a bite-sized amount of, don't mind me, trying to finagle everything on my end. So anyway, so what's nice about the membership is each month we're going to go through one topic like this in depth, and you're going to have a workbook, you're going to have a monthly coaching call, and it's right now at the foundational membership. It is at a very, very low rate. You can go to our website, which is savvygroomer.com, and this one is /grow wealthy grooming. And I can put that in the chat box as well. If you guys want to check out this, I won't even put how much the foundation members is because I don't think it's going to be up there. Once we get 100 people in our foundation membership, it's going to go down. It is very, very low price right now because I want to start getting people involved. And so basically with Grow Wealthy Grooming, I want you guys to be the pet professional with a business you can be proud of. Growing a business that makes you feel victorious, and go ahead and you can enroll in the membership that gives you tools. My goal is for you to have a bigger paycheck. You work too hard to let your business eat up your income like a black hole. How would you feel with letting your business put money in your pocket? I want you to work less. A lot of you guys are working 8, 9, 10 or more hours a day. You're working 5, 6, or 7 days a week. How nice would it be to work less and earn more or the same? Go ahead and gain some freedom. You didn't open a business to feel trapped and obligated. How would you feel about building a business that makes you feel limitless? It really sucks as a groomer to feel like a failure. You work way too hard for that and you deserve more. And in this membership, you get the monthly membership where each month we tackle one simple yet effective business topic to organize and grow your business. You get motivation where each month you're going to have a group coaching call that helps us dive deep into the monthly topic. You can watch this live or you can enjoy the replay at your convenience. There's going to be a community where you're going to be surrounded by groomers who want to grow their business and level up, not just do the same thing over and over again. I know way too many groomers own a job and not a business. At Savvy Groomer, we're going to teach pet professionals how to make simple changes in your business to grow a business that is successful. At Savvy Groomer, we know you want to be the pet professional with a business you can be proud of. In order to do that, you need to know how to manage your business so that you can own a business and not a job. The problem is you have a lot of advice that doesn't actually make a difference, which makes you feel frustrated, overwhelmed, and like a failure. You've been putting in the effort, but you don't have anything to show for it. No one should have their dream fail. I understand. I had to learn a lot of my business knowledge the hard way and from outside the grooming industry. I use my expertise to work with clients internationally and have a proven track record. So if you guys are ready, you can go ahead and enroll in the membership, join the group, and enjoy a business you love. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that up if you guys are interested. I would love to invite you guys to this. Like I said, right now, if you click on it, you will see how low the foundational membership is. It's not going to last that long at that price point. I'm really, really excited about it. We're going to be launching officially February 1st. So if you're watching a replay much later, then you will already have a few months available to you. So as usual, guys, I want to thank you so much for being here with me. I love enjoying our time together. It's always a blast to see you guys and interact with you guys. And I want to go ahead and open up again. If you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer those questions. I hope I've answered the majority of them. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week with Grow Wealthy Grooming. So I'm going to go ahead and take a quick sip of my drink. And again, if you guys have any more questions about sole proprietorship versus an LLC, or if you have any questions about my membership, please let me know. La 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 la. All right, ladies and gentlemen, then I will see you guys next week, Monday at 7 p.m. Again, thank you guys so much for being so patient and waiting in that time. Again, I'm sure this will get better and better and better with the new software. I'm so excited. All right, guys, as usual, I want to thank you for being here where we talked about groomer businesses of LLCs. Oops, you ready? We're going to work on that. Ready? Here we are. Ready? Transfer over. Transition. Thank you for being here where we talked about grooming business, sole proprietorship versus LLC. Wow. It's exciting. Bye, guys, and happy grooming.